everybody. It's me. I'm in the soul space. Zenkuda. It must be Monday at 7 o'clock. I'm here in all of your living rooms and on your phones and on your iPads and every place. It's so funny because, this show is repeated on Optimum TV. And I have people, they say to me, hey, I saw you on TV the other day. What were you doing on TV? And I'm like, I've had a show for 3 years. So welcome. I'm Georgia Rose, your psychic astrologer, and hopefully inspirational being, inspiring some souls tonight. Tonight I'm probably going to go on a little bit of a rant. I do have something I want to talk about, but we're going to do some astrology and pull some cards tonight. A lot of astrology coming in. We have the beautiful, beautiful full moon in Pisces that happens on the 17th, which is tomorrow at 10:34 p.m. I got Gina in the soul space and Joanna in the soul space. Hey, everybody. Going to give everybody a little time to kind of pile in, say hello, drop me a comment if you are watching. I would love to see that. And I'm going to say hi to everybody myself. Okay, great. I got Marie on here. I got Bonnie Robb. I got everybody coming in, giving you guys a few minutes to do that. While I do that, you guys can do your things. What is doing lately? Yesterday, I had the most beautiful day. I actually took some time off in the afternoon, got lost a little bit in myself, and I we have this beautiful state park by us called Heckscher State Park. I live on Long Island, New York, and don't stalk me. And and I did a bike ride. And the reason why I love riding at Heckscher State Park is because it is a park where it's near the bay, beautiful water, and you have beaches there, but you also have like a wooded area and meadows and all kinds of things. And it was just a beautiful fall day. We're beginning fall here in where I live. And I had just got lost. I actually rode my bike around Heckscher State Park for a couple of hours last night, yesterday afternoon. And it was just beautiful. Beautiful weather, perfect day. I actually love it there because I don't get bored, because you go from like water to like evergreens, forestry, and then open meadows. And the park really wasn't very crowded. There was some people playing cricket and some families barbecuing, but it really wasn't very crowded. It was just such a beautiful day. So I implore you all, no matter where you live right now, whether you're in the States or abroad, I implore you all to get out there in nature, because we really need to return to source. Hi, Darlene's on board. I've got a bunch of people here. Stephanie. Hey, Steffers. Sarah's on. We got a nice crowd on tonight. So welcome, everybody. If you want to share the show on your pages, I would love you for that. Feel free to do whatever it is you need to do and feels right for you. So I want to really talk about this full moon coming in, because that's a whopper, and in a good way and in a negative way. It's going to be good for us, I think, because we're all, very aware souls. And I also want to talk a little bit about the end of the week and the weekend going into the autumn solstice. I think that's going to be a really beautiful time for us. But before I do that, I have to go on a little bitty rant. Maybe not a rant, maybe just some inspiration, hopefully, for you guys. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir, because if you watch Soul Space, you're pretty evolved and you're pretty aware. But I just have to say that I am appalled and disturbed by the amount of hatred that is out there in the media, on social media, things that people are saying randomly when I'm in conversations, things I overhear when I'm out in public. I feel like the world right now is really forgetting who we are as human beings. And I'm just going to maybe ask all of you to take the pause and get out of that energy, because as in the States here, we seem to be heightening and amplifying that energy as the elections build. And there's so much polarity, and it's almost like it's falling into a depravity. And part of the reason for that is because with this Pisces energy that we have, and so much energy in Pisces right now, it's really about the dissolution of boundaries and the renegotiation of boundaries. So the boundaries are all blurred, and people seem to think they can say whatever they want to say. And I've seen some really egregious things going back and forth. I'm non-political, all right? If I ever gave anyone the impression that I was political in reading a chart for a political figure or anything like that, you've gotten totally the wrong impression. I'm non-political. The soul space is about souls. It's about human beings. It's about people. When there's an attempt on someone's life, whether that's your neighbor, a loved one, someone in the public eye, a movie star, or a politician, it's, I think, horrible to start saying things like, too bad they missed, or putting up memes that are funny about that. I don't personally do not find them funny. If I had an attempt on my life, I would not find that funny. And I would hope that my people that know me and love me and are part of our community would not think it was something to put something funny about. So I just want to put that out there because, today there was another assassination attempt on a famous figure. Could have been on anybody, could have been on the guy who played Donald Duck. It doesn't matter. It's a life. And I think we need to get back to the source of that and the source of our souls. I think we're really starting to stray really far, going into like this psychic drift of Neptune and Pluto a little bit too far, and forgetting who we are and forgetting the primal return to source. And that's what this full moon is about. That's what the energy that we're in the world in is about. And it's very much an energy where things are dissolving. And we've been in this energy of Pluto in Capricorn for 15 years where structures are crumbling, but now things are dissolving. And I would hate to see our integrity and our compassion and our love for each other dissolve. But unfortunately, I'm seeing that happen in certain instances. And I would be remiss as an inspiring person and someone whose mission it is to put more love in the world and put love where there is none if I didn't just bring this up. So I think that it's not something that is to be blamed on a certain group, a certain culture, a certain country, a certain political party. I think that we all have to take responsibility for this dissolution of our integrity and our compassion and the love that we have for each other in this world. And the reason I say that is because unless we all start checking ourselves, this is just going to completely dissolve and blur into a place no one really wants to go. So I'm not really sure what has to happen, how low we have to go in order for things to start to pivot in the right direction. But to be quite honest, I don't really care, because in my corner of the world and in the soul space and in all of my content and in my community, we don't need to pivot because we've never left the beautiful compassion that we have for each other and the love that we're putting in a place where sometimes there isn't enough love in our lives. And so I'm going to ask you each and every week when you tune in, maybe to think about where we can expand love and where you can expand love. And I'm going to send hearts up to each and every person just watching the show right now, far and wide, those of hundreds of people who are going to watch this replay and all of it. Just, you know what? Let's just put love where there is none. That is my motto and mission in life. I believe we have to put that sometimes in our own souls and have compassion for ourselves. And, maybe sometimes we get harsh and we get carried away and we get out of bounds, which is also Neptune Pisces, and things start to flood in for us. But that doesn't mean we have to act like everybody else. It means that we have to be responsible and take a step back and take the pause and be who we really want to be, And so I just wanted to say that. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm lecturing. I by no means mean that. But I do feel like if we don't get back to what we're really supposed to be in this world, I don't know what will happen. But you definitely have to check yourself. And I've been checking myself. I actually, started to veer in a certain way, getting upset, with people. And I said to myself, no, let's not go there. Let's just maintain our own container and maintain our own boundaries. And maybe we have to renegotiate some boundaries, but that doesn't mean they're dissolving for us. And it's a personal thing for each and every one of us. So I'd love to hear your comments about that. And maybe ways that you're staying in your own boundaries and in your own place where you really want to expand love in your life. In 2010, I was meditating, and it was one of my first meditations. I had dabbled in meditation before, but in 2010, I started to really do a regular spiritual and yogic practice, and I started really going to deep, heavy meditations. And I remember one of the first meditations that I ever really, really went deep and connected with Source. And I heard the phrase, put love where there is none. And it was from my main guide, who is Saint Germain, beautiful Lord of the seventh ray. That's why I work in the violet color. It's the seventh ray of the spectrum of light. And that's the words I heard. And then I started a journey to put love where there is none. Go out in the world, and we can all do things. And they don't have to be grand gestures. They can just be subtle things. Maybe putting your hand on someone's shoulder when they least expect it and they're in turmoil, or maybe just a kind word, or maybe a Facebook post about somebody who really deserves an accolade, or maybe it could just be a smile that you give someone. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture, but I think if we go back to just putting those little flashes of love and insight into the world, oh my gosh, could we really raise the vibration in a time when we so need it raised? So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to talk about the full moon in Pisces, which is also a lunar eclipse. Eclipses, guys. Eclipses. Oh, before I forget, got to do one more thing. Full moon in Pisces, lunar eclipse, September 17th. Thank you, Bobby. I love that that picture. I actually got that from AI, and it's just so beautiful. I asked AI to create a picture of a deep connection in the energy of Pisces, and it just created that for me. Love. That's how we can use AI to our advantage, is let it organize our thoughts a little bit, but don't go overboard. So before I forget, I just want to talk about something that's dear to my heart. You all know I am a breast cancer survivor. Breast cancer changed my life. It was one of the most beautiful gifts of connection with God that I ever had. When you face your own mortality and impermanence, it certainly gives you a connection with Christ. So we're having a fundraiser for those of you who are on Long Island. I need your help. Our local Breast Cancer Coalition is doing a fundraiser at Babylon Town Hall on October 5th. It's a walk called Laps of Love. We're going to walk around our beautiful Garden of Hope. It's not a long walk. If you don't want to walk, you don't have to. You can register. It's $25. 893-4110. 631-893-4110. 631-893-4110 is the number for the coalition. You can register. It's $25. We're going to have 5 food trucks, 30 vendors selling all kinds of like flea market type stuff there. And it's Laps of Love. And you can actually dress or in pink or teal. It's also for gynecological cancers, not just breast cancer, and honor a person that you know that's struggling or that you've lost. And come on down to our beautiful Laps of Love walk, October 5th. I will be there. If you are working at Signature Real Estate, where I work, we're trying to get a big group together. So please, please, please come down to October 5th, Babylon Town Hall. Register, $25. 100% of that money goes to the coalition. And we need your help because we lost our biggest fundraiser this year. What does the coalition do? Babylon Breast Cancer Coalition is a grassroots operation. I'm on the board. We actually, or all volunteers, we actually do things in the community for women suffering from breast and gynecological cancers. Sometimes that means we have drivers that drive them to treatments and appointments. At Thanksgiving, we cook over 100 turkey meals and we deliver them to the doorsteps of our ladies that are too sick to cook. We do gift cards for food. We have grants that we help them out with, all kinds of, medical equipment, anything and everything that someone in that situation would need. And I myself was helped immensely by the organization, as many of my sisters. I do a Reiki circle for them every month. We have meditation, yoga, all kinds of program. So please, please come down October 5th, Babylon Town Hall. So I want to talk about the full moon in Pisces. So first of all, if those of you are having a lot of dreams, I know for myself, I've been sleeping like an hour more than normal every night, deep, heavy sleep as the morning approaches, sleeping through my alarm. That is Neptune and Pisces. Pisces energy, as this full moon comes in, it's a super moon, which means it's closest to the earth. There's a lunar eclipse happening also. So the moon is also conjuncting Neptune, which rules the sign of Pisces. So that means we're really enveloped in Piscean and Neptune energy. What is that? It's dream, it's imagination, it's ethereal, it's connection with the divine. It's also escapism, addiction, and I'm going to explain more about why all that is. But Neptune in Pisces is very ethereal energy, and it's an energy of becoming unbound and floating and going where no one's gone before, and no boundaries. Everything's blurry. And that's why we're having these wild and wicked and wonderful and imaginative and crazy dreams. And that'll go on for a little while longer. So that's the energy most potent right now. But the beautiful thing is that there's imagination in that. And every idea we've ever had that's been a great idea has to start with an imagination. So something we imagine and dream. So that's the beautiful energy of Pisces. The lower octave of that is escapism. We don't want to face something, so we end up going into a place where we avoid it, we escape it, we are become addicted to things. So this energy can make us kind of knocked off our balance because boundaries are super blurred in this energy. And what happens is when we start to really just float out of bounds, out of bounds, out of bounds too much, we can burst, right? I remember going back to that time when I first started to meditate. I remember I used to have to set a timer because I literally got addicted to meditation and I was using it as an escapism. It was so beautiful to float around with angels and different beings. And so I literally sometimes would lose track of time and I would open my eyes and realize I had been in a meditation for like 2 hours or something. And so I used to have to start to set a timer to bring me back into reality so that I could emerge with the wisdom of my meditations instead of staying in meditation, right? Nobody wants to stay in those realms. So that's a very Piscean Neptune type of thing. So I'm just going to say hi to everybody because we've got so many people on tonight. Hey, Joanna, Marie, Sarah, Stephanie, Bonnie, Darlene, Liz. Love you, Liz. Anita, going to send prayers up for your friend who's having surgery tomorrow. Barbara's on board. We've got Colleen. Okay, Adrian. Lynn Amori. I love you, Lynn. I ran into one of your friends yesterday. I was listening to some music down at one of the beaches and I ran into somebody who knew you. So welcome everybody. So this full moon is really potent. It's got a lot of Neptunian, Pisces, floaty, dreamy, connecting. Intuition will be at an all-time high during this full moon. So if you're starting to have psychic intuition, psychic hits, flashes of psychic intuition, great time to get a reading, go to the cards, all that stuff. Beautiful, colorful energy. So now I'm going to give you the real nitty gritty about it. Okay. Spoke about lapse of love. I'm looking at all of my stuff here. So also want to talk about later on in the program, if I have time, Mars in Cancer. If I don't get to that, we'll talk about it next week because Mars is going to be in Cancer for like over 6 months. And Mars is never in one sign more than 3 or 4 weeks. So that's going to really be pretty wicked. So got that energy coming. So back to the full moon. So this full moon is also a time about health. So you want to make sure that if you have anything that's like really not feeling good, or if you have something you think you really need to get checked, I would go do that. So we've got the lunar eclipse in here. This is at 25 degrees of Pisces, the full moon. We've got Neptune conjuncting it there. Look and see in your charts what house and where Pisces is, because that's what's really, really going to be affected. All right. And as I said, Pisces energy is that becoming unbound energy. It's the flooding type of energy. In this energy also, like you saw the assassination attempt that happened over the weekend, the gentleman that was arrested, you could see there's definitely something not right there. That's very Piscean energy too. People will like go way out of bounds. Like if you have any kind of schizophrenia or psychological problem, you will like in this energy will like be real woo-woo. Okay. So this also rules our immune system. Because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces and the moon is right at 25 degrees with Neptune in the sign of Pisces, this really amps up that energy of the immune system, detoxification, purifying, toxicity, flooding, all that kind of stuff. So you really want to make sure that you are allowing yourself time with health, staying hydrated, getting rest. This is an energy where you really want to get rest because Pisces energy can make us feel extremely drained because we have a tendency to be very in our minds and floaty, and it's taxing. So the lunar eclipse will reveal things. Whenever we have a lunar eclipse, it's a time when things become revealed because we have endings and beginnings. And normally full moons bring endings and new moons bring beginnings. In this energy, when we have a lunar eclipse, this is really the closures of things because it's eventually going to open space for newness. But in this particular energy, it's a lot of culmination and closing, and that will last for a little while before you get to the newness. It's a good moon for heightened spirituality. If you're going to connect or do a sound bath or anything like that, you may have some real awakenings, and it's a good time to go into bliss. It's a good time to see the soul, the spiritual realm. It's a great time to get back to spirit. This is a very, very watery time. You may feel some flooding in. The sun is opposing Neptune, and that's what brings us our negativity. All right. When the sun opposes Neptune, it can make us suspicious. It can make us prone to disillusionment. It can also make us very vulnerable to propaganda, to things that aren't true. We're not really sure what's true and what isn't. So we start to form a belief system based on our prior conditioning, which is sometimes not always correct. And that's why dream world sometimes in this energy can be very beautiful for us, because in dream world, sometimes we see truth. So one of the things I would strongly suggest is when you wake up in the morning the next several days, I would try to just lay in bed and not open your eyes and jump out of bed right away. Try and lay in bed with your eyes closed, because as soon as you open your eyes, you're out of dreamscape. So try and, allow yourself some time, maybe keep a pen and pad by your bed to record anything that happened while you were in dreamscape, because that's going to be really, really beautiful. So, just going to delete some comments here. We have some comments that need to be deleted. Bob, if you're back in the thing, there's someone named Adrian trying to sell something to people, and etc. So this is going to happen September 17th at 10:24 p.m. That's the exact time of the full moon. So what I would say is tomorrow evening, if you are so inclined, maybe do a ritual for the full moon. And that could be something very, very sweet, just a nice meditation or something. Pisces is a water sign. So you may want to go to the ocean, gather some water. I'm going to be doing that tomorrow morning. I don't have to be at work early. And so I'm going to just do that very early. You may want to put your crystals out, even though it's not a new moon, it's a full moon. The crystals will absorb the revelation of the ending and the beginning. Mercury is also opposite Saturn during this full moon, and that's what maybe will cause us to be very hypercritical. It's narrow-mindedness. It can be issues with our communication, because Mercury is there and Saturn is limiting. It narrows things. So I know where I live, we're actually having at our Coliseum, Donald Trump is having a rally, a big, huge rally. And I know a lot of people that are going to that. And I would not go anywhere where there's a huge crowd that particular day. Not because I think anything is going to happen, although it could. I just think that that particular full moon and lunar eclipse, especially being in Pisces, which are emotions, which is returning to primal source, those are times you want to be quiet and in your own energy and in your own space and, feel the sweetness of that connection, because there will be people out of their minds, so to speak. And I'm not saying that in a political way. I'm just saying if it was a rock concert, the same thing, people will be very amped up. And it's an energy where people will be suspicious and, think on the negative side, not the positive side sometimes, especially if they're unevolved. So you want to, and I'm not saying that they're unevolved because they're going there. I'm just saying in general these days. So you really want to make sure that maybe you're home with family, intimate relationship settings, a sharper focus on those things, on your quietude. I love that word, quietude. Sometimes I just say that to myself so that I can feel it. Quietude, right? Not an attitude, a quietude. Love that. So this will be amping up emotions and feelings. So the moon is an emotional identity anyway. In Pisces, that's our emotion. With Neptune, it's our emotions going out of bounds. So this is going to be a big case of the feels, guys. So you want to definitely make sure that you're staying kind of grounded. Great, as I said, for intuition, sensitivity, dreams. It can make you vulnerable and slightly confused to scandals and deception. For the escapism part, it can be self-pity, that kind of thing, because we don't have any boundaries. We're just floating, right? Boundaries are blurred. So don't let people take advantage of your kindness, of your giving, of your sacrificing, because, Pisces can always steer into martyrdom because the boundaries are so blurred, and your boundaries will be blurred. So people will want to come in too close, or people will want to take advantage because the boundaries are just all so blurry. So remember that works both ways. Develop creative, spiritual, charitable nature. Be imaginative and intuitive. To be able to receive those flashes of insight. You're not going to be able to do that if you're in some place that's overwhelming and noisy and chaotic. So allow yourself those flashes of insight and to receive those things, because then you'll be able to resolve problems and dilemmas with those beautiful flashes that come in. Uranus is sextiling Neptune in this energy. That's a good thing, finally, for Uranus to be in that position. And that could be spiritual awakening, connectedness to the mass consciousness, not the negative mass consciousness, but the mass consciousness. For instance, if everyone meditates at 10:24 p.m. in New York when the full moon is happening with Neptune conjuncting, you may really tap into that unity of the world. And that is the true nature of Pisces. It's about unity. It's about coming back to source. Pisces is decay. It's the dissolving of things. It's the dissolving of boundaries between life and death. It's the soul that lives on. It's the all one omnipotent, energy of creator. And so how does the universe bring us there? It does it by giving us a traumatic experience or dissolving a boundary so that we need something to hold on to. And in that flooding, in that emotional overwhelm, in that I can't handle this, I don't know what to do, we grab on to something, and that's faith. That's Pisces. It's the connection to that primordial divine energy that we came from. Pisces is returning to that source. Pisces is the womb. Pisces is that fetus in the womb, protected and so loved and in unity and floating in this beautiful watery place. The next sign of the zodiac is Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's the culmination of birthing from the womb. That emergence from the womb is Aries. The culmination is Pisces, the end of the gestation, the culmination, the tearing away of the life force, the survival mechanism, the dissolution of the boundaries, right? The dissolution, the cutting of the umbilical. You're floating out in space. What is this place? That's Pisces. And the reason why that place exists is to show us that even though the umbilical is cut, we are still connected to that source of creation. We can go back there and find our source, whether that's out in nature or a sunrise or in a church. That is the Pisces energy. So when you go into that highest octave of it, you return to source, and you realize that that source is the oneness in you, that we always have that invisible umbilical, that invisible cord connecting us to creator energy. We don't need the host. We don't need the womb. And that's the dissolution of boundaries. That's the floating of Pisces. That's the flooding in, right? We're nice and safe and soft in that womb, that Pisces cocoon. And then when we emerge from that, there's a new energy that floods us in. And we can either go to addiction and avoidance, or we can revel in the light of that new energy. That's the Piscean way. That's the Pisces story. That's the story of our lives. So where in your life, where in your chart is Pisces? For me, Pisces is in my third house. So that's all about communication. And what do? I communicate ways people can return to source. Soul space. That's what I do, right? So where is Pisces in your chart? Maybe it's in your first house and you're a Pisces sun. Maybe it's in your 12th house and you're a Pisces sun. Maybe you have it in your 7th house of relationships and you need deep connection to feel fulfilled in a relationship. So wherever Pisces is in your chart, it's going to have a story for you. It's going to have a place where things become flooding in and overwhelming. And in that overwhelm, we look for something to hold on to, and eventually we find out that source. And we return home and we return to ourselves. And that's that beautiful full moon in Pisces. But on the lower octave, it creates psychic drift for some people. I can't handle it. What am I going to do? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Let me have a drink. Let me, take this pill. Let me throw my anger or my overwhelm all over the place and act it out so that I don't have it in me anymore and then I'm feeling better. That psychic drift, that place where we are right before the moment of new emergence, or that place where we stay and we become frozen in fear. So when the new emergence, the new energy comes in, we're frightened of it and we push it away and we stay in our addiction, we stay in our escapism. So the process of being unbound is based on Neptune transits. That process of being unbound, the world flooding in, being overwhelmed, that's the Pisces Neptune story. And we have this beautiful full moon that comes in, and it's round and it's potent and it's watery and it's full. But some of us can't handle that. And so we'll go on to the dark side. Also, back into the three-dimensional world, this dissolution of boundaries and this watery energy can also create problems with water. Whether it's a pipe in your house or flooding in someplace, a tsunami or a flood or, some kind of ocean disaster, boating disaster or something like that. That would be very common in a Pisces energy like this because it is the flooding of something. So just be aware of that. Pisces is that death, it's decay of something that we no longer need to hold on to, right? It would be like if the baby never left the womb, the woman would not be able to sustain that baby. Everything would decay. The woman would decay. The baby would decay. It was not meant to stay in the womb indefinitely. So that's the idea of life, emerging, right? We can't stay in the decay. We can't stay in the womb. It will start to decay. So Aries is the emergence from the primal state. Pisces is the return to it. We find that primal state, that connection to love, that connection to unity is within us. And that's what we all have. And that's what we need to get back to. And I started out the show and I talked about how we all need to check ourselves and not get into all of this polarity and aggressive behavior and the me, them, you, us behavior, because this is what the Pisces full moon wants to teach us. It's all about unity. And then we're all connected. Everyone's in. Nobody's out. So every time we try and push someone out and tighten the fence around ourselves, we're just trying to stay in the womb. And if we do that, we miss out on all the new energy coming in. Think about if you had stayed in the womb for the last however many years you've been on the earth. You would have none of the experiences, none of the joys, none of the wisdom, none of the beautiful happenings that you've had. So we can't return to that, but we can always return to the source that created us and have faith and stay in the stability of the fact that creator has beautiful things planned for us if we stay in connection with him, her, God, goddess, and if we live our lives in connection with that in order to bring more compassion, more of everything to the world. So that's my rant. Cheryl said she just had 2 water issues. Feeling new energy, Joanna. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And, I do a lot of research on the stars and the planets and just tap into the energy. And, you guys can tell I always come with a million notes. This particular book is just from like the last couple of months. Every page is written on. This was my little doodad drawing. I'm really, doing this. And I don't do it just for myself. I do it because I really believe that humanity needs an uplift. We're all having an upgrade. What we choose to do with it is up to us. But this is a wild time. And like I said on last week's show, especially around the 19th, after this lunar eclipse comes in, that time just between the full moon and the the autumn equinox, the first day of autumn, especially around the 19th, that's a turning point. We're in a turning point. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's given us all this Pisces energy to tie everything up, culminate things. It's like today I actually had a dead tree cut down in my yard. And, it's a great time to get a haircut, cut off all the dead hair, get rid of your dead ends, right? Pisces, get rid of the dead ends. This is a turning point because now we're going to start new energy, especially when 2025 comes in. The new energy is going to come in after November. We've got some really hot, really big hot points coming out in the universe. For us here in the United States of America, especially, November is a huge, huge turning point of energy. On the day of the elections, there are some transits happening that I'm not even going to talk about right now. Very, very big things. I will be shocked to my core if the election that we're having is not a mess. I don't believe it's going to be so easily decided. I think there's going to be sudden, shocking surprises. I wouldn't even begin to predict what those will be, because anyone who tells you they know doesn't know. But I will tell you, we're in some really, really big turning points, and we need to return home to ourselves and home to our Creator and make sure that we're expanding that energy. So the 19th is a really big energy day. That's 2 days after the eclipse. I believe that is on Thursday, Friday. And then we go into the weekend and we have that solstice happening on the 22nd. Venus is going into Scorpio. Sun goes into Libra. This can be a kind of an uncomfortable energy during the eclipse. But what I will tell you is this is very powerful energy to go deep. Pluto wants us to go deep. Neptune, Pisces wants us to return to source. This is really about us finding the energy within us to connect to the things that are going to bring us to our new way, our new day, our new life. This is also energy when the autumn equinox comes in. That's a day when the day is equal to night as far as light. So that's the day that you want to pray and meditate on what your perfect ideal balance is in everything. Please, Spirit, give me the steps to the rest of my life so that I can be in beautiful harmony with the soul's intention in this lifetime. That's the thing. It's the beginning of a deeper time of year. It's the beginning of taking that harvest, getting all the seeds that we planted and bringing them forward and cutting the dead stuff, right? So there's a lot of synchronistic energy in this time right now for us. Don't waste it, because this is really a time where we can make sure that we are connected to the right thing. You're not going to find the right thing on Facebook. You're not going to find the right thing at a rally. You're not going to find some beautiful, this is the magic pill anywhere but in your own heart. There's going to be a lot of information that needs to be disseminated through our own intuition. There's going to be a lot of nonsense, propaganda, and fact that's going to be thrown in the same blender that we have to know in our souls what is true. That's the only place you're going to know. So develop that intuition. There's a great time to do it. So I'm going to go back in our comment. Liz says she's having really vivid dreams. Yeah, that's that Neptune Pisces energy, man. I feel you. I've been having some really, really big dreams myself. And some of them are like almost disturbing, but if I just sit for a minute when I wake up, I can like feel where they came from. So Tuesday, when the full moon comes in, it's a good time to just really be contemplative all that day, almost like you're just taking a day for yourself. And then as the energy builds during the week, especially on the 19th, it's going to be kind of topsy-turvy. Make sure that your communications are really, being checked twice, what you say, what you put out there, because it's going to be very volatile. But this is a time when we're really forced to do shadow work. So when that equinox comes on the 22nd, that's a time when everything that you've been thinking about over the last few days and going deep in throughout this week, that's the time when you can really write your plan. This is what I want for this season, this autumn season that's coming in. This is what I want to accomplish. Please show me my next steps. That's really going to be great energy for you. I have some allergies. So if anybody has any comment or question they want to put in the comments, please do so. Stephanie said she had a dream that a bug was coming out of her leg. Usually dreams when we have anything coming out of our body, that oftentimes means that we are purging something, especially if in the dream the bug was something like a parasite or something that was feeding on you, draining your energy. Now it's being released. That would be my take on it, especially if it's coming out of your leg. It's something that was preventing you from moving forward in your life. And now that's been removed. Sarah said that she has Pisces in her 11th house at 4 degrees. So Pisces in the 11th house is actually in the natural zodiac, the Aquarian way. So this would mean that Pisces energy for you, that Neptune, that flooding, that overwhelm, that return to source. For you, it may happen quickly. It may happen after something's been disrupted or decentralized in your life. That's also the 11th house, where we have groups and of people and community, but it's also the house of hopes and wishes and dreams. So that would make me feel like you have quite an imagination, and you can really, kind of go far out and travel in your mind and in your heart to places where you really want to be. Try and bring some of those into a boundary and into a place where you can actually breathe them into form. Because Pisces is where we release the form. Pisces is the imagination, where the form is not created yet. It's ethereal, right? So if you have Pisces in the 11th, you want to try to bring some of those things into form with groups and communities and projects and things like that. Pisces in the first house, Darlene, would be that you would have a Pisces ascendant. You're a Pisces rising. That would mean that part of who you are becoming is tapping into source energy, tapping into creator. That's part of your energy. But it also will show you in whatever house Pisces is in, 11th for Sarah, first for Darlene. That shows you where you are out of bounds, where you become unbound. In the first house, that may be that you allow other people to dictate your personality, or maybe you have a personality that is very mutable, right? And you don't stand in your own agency. And so you need to do that in order to connect with source of creation within you and who you are to emerge. In the 11th house for Sarah, those blurred boundaries, or that flooding, or that out of bounds, may be in community. It may be in groups. Like maybe you allow yourself to be taken advantage of, or you're too kind, or you give too much, and forget to take care of yourself. Deneen says that she has very vivid dreams last night. One was about me in a basement on a staircase, and it broke away. I didn't fall through. Never had that dream before. So basements, if any of you study Carl Jung, in Dreamscape, basements is our subconscious. So the stairway would be your way out and your way in. So that is a perfect segue for this energy, because if the stairway broke, but you didn't fall through, that means the universe is trying to bring something in your subconscious into conscious awareness. And that's this energy in a nutshell. Pluto has been doing that to us for the last few days. Now Neptune in Pisces, and the full moon comes in, and lunar eclipse, to bring it into our awareness field. Uranus trining Saturn is bringing what was hidden into awareness. So that dream can be interpreted as your subconscious needs to come into consciousness, but you're also fighting it because you let the stairway break through, which means that maybe the traditional way that you would come from the subconscious into the conscious is broken, is done. It's not going to be the way you were conditioned to think it is. It's going to be a new way. You don't need the stairway to have it come into consciousness. You can do it all on your own with no help. So that would be an energy also of that Mercury Saturn, because the mind is now releasing you from prior conditioning. Maybe a religious belief or a cultural belief told you things had to be a certain way. And there's something in your subconscious that still believed that, but now that certain way, that staircase that you had to walk up to get out of the basement, you don't need it anymore. You can get out of the basement in a different way. That basement being the subconscious limiting belief system, going into the consciousness awakening. Pisces in the 10th house, Linda, that's all about the way the world sees you. And the fact that I know you do readings, and that you are very connected to Pisces and creator and source energy and intuition and psychic ability. That would be the way the world sees you, and the way you appear to the world is through that psychic, beautiful Pisces energy. So if that's your 10th house, and in the last degree of Pisces, 29th degree, that is really an energy where you're just always on the cusp of emerging into that. You bring that ethereal, intuitive, beautiful space of soul connection into form, because of the 29th degree of Pisces, you're 1 degree away from the emergence in Aries. So beautiful, beautiful energy tonight, guys. So we're almost out of time, so I have to actually split. But what I'm going to say is if any of you want a private reading, private interpretation of your chart, mediumship, any of those things, tarot, please just call me. You all have my website is zenkuda.com. And the great thing about the zenkuda.com website is when you go on there to book a reading, it automatically sets the reading up for you, the time, the date, everything. The Zoom is set up. And I give you a recording of that reading so you can look at it for years to come. So please don't forget about Lapse of Love, Babylon Town Hall, October 5th, $25 donation, 5 food trucks, 30 vendors. You can shop and eat and do whatever you want. And you can walk. If you don't want to walk, you don't have to, but it's a $25 donation to be registered for the walk. And we really need your donation for Babylon Breast Cancer Coalition. So come on down. That's October 5th. I will be there most of the day. We do a survivor strut. Any survivors out there, you're welcome to join us. We have the showmobile and the stage there with a DJ, and we're all going to walk across in our little pink tutus and boas and dressing for the walk. And we'll all be in the survivor strut doing our thing, triumphing over a disease that took so many of our friends and family and loved ones. Thank you so much. I hope to see you here in the Soul Space next Monday at 7 o'clock. If you have any questions or anything, drop me a line on my social media, and I will absolutely answer it for you guys. Thanks so much. Beautiful full moon blessings tomorrow night. And I hope you guys all have a beautiful, beautiful full moon and can reach your own soul space and connect with Creator. Love you all. Bye-bye.